Hi, this is Andrew Moore-Crispin for Gadget TV on Butterscotch.com, and today we're taking a look at the LG Optimus 3D, model number P920. Now the price on this is to be fully determined as yet, but likely $650 plus, obviously less with carrier relief. So what's really happening here is you're paying a pretty hefty price premium for the fact that this is a 3D phone. So you can see here we have a 4.3-inch LCD touchscreen. First thing you'll notice is that LG has done a little bit of skinning to the Android interface. You can see we have 7 home screens that we can place our items on. We also have a dock running across the bottom that gives us quick access to phone, contacts, messaging, and applications. So let's jump right into what really sets this phone apart. If we jump into applications here, you can see we have our application list divided up. We have 3D applications, and we have all of our other applications down here. So now regular Android applications will work just fine natively on this phone and the 4.3-inch touchscreen, but what really sets it apart is, like I said, the 3D apps. So we can access the 3D apps by either going into the regular applications interface, or if we were to go home, we can also press the dedicated 3D button here, press and hold. The phone will vibrate and throw us into our 3D view. So now it doesn't really, well, it doesn't come across at all on the screen, but the depth of this 3D is actually pretty surprising. You can see, you can kind of get an idea of what this would like if it was would look like if it was in full stereoscopic 3D. So you can see we have our 3D guide, which is basically a useless application that just kind of says, 3D is awesome. We have YouTube 3D, which bumps us straight into the 3D YouTube application. Not a great deal of content there, but there is some interesting stuff to find. People are releasing movie trailers. Some people who've bought phones like this are actually, sharing their 3D content. We also have our 3D gallery. This is where we'll be able to view any 3D pictures we've taken and 3D movies. Our 3D camera, so we can choose to either shoot in full HD at 30 frames per second, 1080p, that's two-dimensional, or we can shoot in 3D 720p at 30 frames per second. And if we jump into 3D games and apps, we can see a few of the applications that are currently available. So, like I said, just a few games to start off with. Not a great deal going in the Android market. If you search for 3D, you'll find a lot of people saying, the 3D clock widget, the 3D weather widget. They're not actually 3D. Basically, 3D on this phone and other 3D phones is really confined to this kind of sandboxed 3D area. But let's jump into Let's Golf really quickly. One thing that was a bit of a disappointment for me with this phone and other 3D smartphones. Well, first off, we got to notice that we're warned about getting dizzy. So we'll just say okay to that. We'll take that risk. But like I said, one of the things that disappointed me about this phone and other 3D phones is the fact that there's no hardware depth slider for 3D. So basically, 3D depth is really controlled within an individual application. So you can see here we do have the 3D depth slider, and we can slide it all the way up. The scene really gains a lot of depth by doing that, or we can slide it all the way down and turn it off completely. Like I say, you won't be able to see the actual 3D effect, but if you're right in the sweet spot, which is basically looking directly at the phone from perhaps 30 centimeters away, it is quite an impressive 3D effect. Let's go back home here. We'll do a quick device tour. On the top here, we have our power button. We also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack with support for inline mic and inline remote. Hidden behind these little doors, we have an HDMI port that we can use to share our 3D content. If I can get it open. Our 3D content from our phone, anything we've shot in 3D, we can share onto the big 3D HD TV. Our micro B USB port for charging and syncing hides behind here. This is where we actually get access to take the battery back off. On the other side, we mentioned the 3D dedicated hardware button here. We also have a volume rocker. On the back of the device, you can see we have stereoscopic 5 megapixel cameras. So this actually allows us, we can use one camera and shoot, like I said, 1080p or just regular stills. We have a flash, or we can use both cameras and get a full stereoscopic 3D view. There you have it, a quick look at the LG Optimus 3D. For Gadget TV, I'm Andrew Moore-Crispin. For more sweet stuff, visit Butterscotch.com.